Greetings, positive trenders. I hope everybody's having a blessed weekend. And wow, here we are, another newsletter, another week. And wow, November. November 11th through 15th is this week, and it should be pretty amazing. So this is where we're at. We'll take a look at all the larger term time frames and everything. This is what happened last week, right? So we gapped up right on Monday, and then we kind of chopped around for a little bit, right? And then, right, we had the gap fill day off of last week's Maribozu Friday, right? And that was kind of the big thing. We moved up again, pushed to all-time highs, and look what happened again. We filled that gap. So it was just a theme of just like little gap ups, gap fills, and more strength, right? So right now, and as we'll talk about in the summary, right, this is the trend line, right? This is the trend line that we are tracking right now. We are above it, so the trend is up until proven otherwise. Pretty amazing stuff. So we'll get into that in more detail when we get over to SPX. So right now, I really want to just kind of get into, and I spent some time talking about the newsletter Crazy Ivan. Okay, so this is a tool that we looked at that I've been talking about all week, and I've been testing it out, and it's pretty amazing. And it came up with what we've been doing with our DMI and CCI or CCI research, and so I've been kind of exploring and experimenting with the DMI, which is it was invented by J. Wells Wilder. It stands for Directional Movement Index, right? And you may have seen this before out there, but it's really cool. So all you do is you go into your settings in TOS, you click DMI oscillator, right? And what it does is it changes the color of the chart naturally, right, to meet and to match the color of the oscillator. So it's pretty cool. So if you're bearish, right, basically everything's red. If you're bullish, right, everything turns green. So it's pretty cool. And in fact, I'm working on experimenting. I'm really working on improving the Excalibur. The Excalibur is already awesome, right? But I think I found a way to make it even better to capture more trades. And it happened after missing that NVIDIA reversal. Because if you guys recall, on Friday I tweeted out, I said, man, NVIDIA, it looks like it's strong right here. Because I was looking at, what was I looking at? I was looking at the Excalibur, right? And it was the Excalibur was bearish, right? So you can see here, right, kind of coming into the morning, I was like waiting for like shorting opportunities on NVIDIA, right? Because we were red going into the day, and then it turned green right here, and I was like, how can I fix that? And so we'll get into that a little bit more this week. But anyway, let's take a look at what I'm kind of looking at here. So this is the DMI, okay? So like I said, now what I noticed is when I was going through this week and running experiments and stuff like that, is that when DMI hit minus 40, okay, or plus 40, we tended, especially during the open hours, right, we tended to get reversals. I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty amazing. Right, look at that. So we push all the way down to NVIDIA, right, and look at that, boom, minus 45 right there, and then we launched up for the rest of the day. Pretty impressive stuff, right? And, again, it's amazing stuff. And so that's really the essence of it here at the open. It's very powerful at the open here. Well, not at the open with the lower term time frames, but right, you can see here they got a bounce and all that stuff. So anyway, so I thought it was pretty cool. So it makes a really good reversal strategy. And when we're in a certain position, it also, let's say we're short here from the open, right? Say a bearish go bar right here on the 15, and we take it down. It helps us find exit points. Okay, so when we've gone too far, or well, it's minus 40, maybe definitely raise stops at that point. Okay. So that is really cool. So that is part of the Crazy Ivan. But what I also found too is that the CCI was also powerful. So what I did as well is it showed that the CCI, I'll just keep the DM on here. But one of the things that we could look at here, if you guys recall, on Friday, well, let's go through a couple of the examples that were in the newsletter, okay? So the first one was SPX. This is what kind of got me thinking about it the whole time. Okay, so the first one was SPX. So last Friday, let me switch over here to the Excalibur. 1 second. All right, so last Friday on SPX, right, that was on the first, where was that, right here? We were bullish, right? I mean, look at this. I mean, MACD was green, we're over the cloud, green hole, green Heikin-Ashi, right? So I'm like, we're bullish. Okay, so that sort of got to be thinking, I'm like, how can we get more trades and capitalize on pullbacks, and when do we know the pullbacks are done? So in other words, if intraday on the shorter term time frame, if everything's bullish but it's pulling back, well, when can we buy that dip, right? Other than using the looking at VIX strategies and things like that we've talked about in the past. How can we like sensibly buy that dip? And so what I did was that's where I found this DMI and was experimenting with it, and I was like, well, let's try this. Okay, so if you go to here, if we go, I believe it was the 3-minute time frame is pretty powerful on this. So if you go to that Friday, if I go back to let's say a couple weeks there, so let's go back to the first here, this day. Where are we? Okay, here. It doesn't look like much until you zoom in on it. Okay, so I started looking at it and I was like, all right, so this is that day we looked at the Excalibur, right? You just saw the Excalibur, right? Excalibur is bullish, right? That whole time. And so now, we're looking at the chart intraday and we're like, okay, it's bullish, but, maybe I caught a little bit here, but I missed the pullback. How do I get in? Right here. Minus 40. Okay. Very powerful stuff. Okay, and then you buy the dip, right? And you go back in the direction of the trend, the macro trend, which was green on the Excalibur. Okay, so very powerful stuff. So that is the essence of Crazy Ivan on that. That's using the DMI on the 3. So it's very possible. I know, more screen space, but it is powerful to use. Okay, and so I go through a couple examples with that. All right. I go through one of Tesla. I'm not going to go through here on the video. But what I do want to point out is that we could also use, in addition, another Crazy Ivan example is the CCI, which tends to work well on the 5 and the 15. Okay. So don't use the DMI at the open. Okay. It's going to go crazy at the open. Right here, it's like plus 75. Don't short that. Okay. But in the direction of the trend, and that's what I want to emphasize, you can do it elsewhere, but it's a lot risky. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is in the direction of Excalibur. Right, so if Excalibur is able to buy the pull and it's pulling back, look for that minus 40, okay, on the DMI. All right, but we can do more strategies, more tactics at the open, right? Because we know how crazy the open is, right? So I wanted to find a couple other things that could help us with that, and I found that on the 5-minute chart or the 15-minute chart, that CCI is really powerful. So Facebook was one of them. This is counter trend to Excalibur. So you don't have to do this. I just did it. It's just a tactic, right? So this was a Friday lotto idea. So if you guys remember on Friday, I said, hey, I'm looking at possibly doing a lotto, Crazy Ivan, on Facebook here at the open, because everything else was going down at the open, but Facebook kept going up. I was like, there's no way it's going to keep going. Plus, it had all these resistance levels the prior day, right? And so I was like, what could help us here? So you could see here on the 15-minute chart, DMI would have been just fine. Okay, that would have been just as good, right? But look at CCI too. It hit over 300. 300 is a key level, and it almost hit 400 right here. Okay, so at that point, I was like, okay, let's try this thing. And so I said, hey, look for a lotto right here. They went from like 20 cents to like 60 cents, something like that. So it's pretty impressive stuff on that. There was another one. It was Netflix the other day on this big spike up. You can see it here on the just on the 15. Again, on the 3-minute, it's just as fine. But you can see here on the 15, boom, plus 40 right here on the DMI. On the DMI, you can see on the 3-minute chart. If we go to the 3-minute, I believe it was here, boom, right up there. Shorting right at that plus 40 area, okay? And so pretty impressive. Again, it was counter, Excalibur, but it's a tactic, and the tactic is if it's like a really sharp move up, right? When is that move done? And remember, I talked about a breakout of this level, not too long ago, or that day, and it did break, but it went almost parabolic. So when it does that, right? One, that's a good place to take profit at the plus 40, right? But you can also look to trade it in the opposite direction, okay? So very powerful stuff. I do a lot more examples, and of course I finish off with Roku in the newsletter, so I recommend going through and looking at that. It was really great stuff. So anyway, guys, I present it to you. I hope you guys find it helpful. Don't go crazy with it, but just start to observe it and notice when it happens, right? And then you can even DM me or tweet me, or chat with me in the, in the live stream, about like what you're seeing and all that stuff, and we'll take a look at it and see if it makes sense. Okay? So I hope you guys find that helpful. And then, of course, we go through and we look at our, earnings for next week. We've got Walmart next week, NVIDIA, Cisco should be pretty interesting. So we've got those kind of coming up. And then we go through our IPOs as usual, just to kind of track those. And then, of course, we move to SPX. So let's get that pulled up here. Okay, and let's check it out. All right, so we go here to the quarterly chart. So quarterly chart, bullish, right? Nice continuation off of the previous quarter still. Monthly chart off the hammer, still good. Weekly chart, green. Okay, everything's green, green, green. Green on the daily. Green on the daily. A little bit of a dip coming up in the in the cloud, so just keep that in mind. And then of course we add the that's the weekly. So on the weekly, sorry, cloud on the weekly, up at the upper Keltner channel. So watch that on that, and also on the daily. So I was thinking here, we're right at the cliff here of the cloud. So just be careful with that. And then of course we add the Bollinger Bands on here. Okay. Okay, so we came off the upper Bollinger Band here, right, and we're approaching over that cloud. So it could be a concern on that. Okay. And then let's see. Still, everything's trending up here on the Keltner channels. Okay. And then we look at our Elliott wave. Okay. So Elliott wave does look like it's still trending, right? So we have this 1, 2, and then a subwave 1, 2, 3, possibly 4, 5 to work its way up to wave 5. Okay. That's possible. That's what we're in right now. Okay. And of course, we look at the pitchfork. Right? 1 second. Okay, so we look at the pitchfork here. So you can see this is one of the things that looks like we're working on, impulsive wave up, right, to finish up, possibly this wave B, this macro wave B, right? It could be an expanded flat here. Okay, so we're tracking that. Okay, we're over the channel. It's holding a support. Let's see if it continues to do that. All right, and then we get into the pivot levels, and let's take a look at the summary here of where we are at. So right here. So again, just like we looked at in the intro. Okay, just when we looked at in the intro, SPX is still trending up, right? We're still following this trend line. We are bullish until proven otherwise. Not until we start to break down, right, under this trend line, maybe gives an inside day or something like that, and then it pushes through those, could we probably start to see some gap fills below. Okay? Good stuff. All right, let's take a look at the VIX, see how that's going this week. Okay, so daily chart, guys. Working its way down to the big bearish engulfing day here on Friday. So it's working down to the support zone. So we'll continue to see how it behaves in those areas. Okay, it's very important because that could signify a big spike coming soon, which means the market would go down. Okay, and then of course we have our hourly chart. Right, we're below the cloud. Right, IV is still below 0.90. So generally we're okay. Just watch out when it gets to the support zone. Those are the main things with the VIX. Okay, then we move on to the NASDAQ. Where are we? Okay, NASDAQ weekly bullish over the upper Bollinger Band, not quite overbought on the RSI. Daily, inside day. Okay, and then we compare our Keltner channels on the weekly with the with some popular stocks on the NASDAQ, right? So let's go through those. One second, sorry. Okay. All right, so the NASDAQ tagged the upper Keltner channel. Okay, so that's been pretty bullish. Netflix. Okay, starting to work its way up. It's at the mid Keltner channel. Nvidia. Nvidia is getting bullish. Okay, so that is kind of following along with the NASDAQ there. It's got earnings this week. Should be very interesting. Apple is going parabolic. Okay, so when we look at Roku, right, this is a good example. Apple's getting a little bit parabolic right here. So we could see fast move down on that, sometime in the near future. Amazon, choppy. Roku, the only way that Apple could get out of that is just to chop forward until all the averages catch up. But Roku went parabolic very similarly. Okay, then it flushed down. Okay, and that didn't even have earnings. It just had some downgrades. Okay, so Roku's kind of chopping around that area too. Facebook, kind of in the middle of the range, and Tesla. Okay, big move. It's starting to get strong here. It's starting to hold up really well over all these channels. So that is very bullish for Tesla. Okay, and then we go. Let's take a look at the Dow. All right, here's the Dow. Okay, bullish, right? Strong upper Bollinger Band, inside day on Friday. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. And then we review some Dow stocks. We take a look at what happened on Friday, and we do that by just going to our Dow. Disney had earnings. Okay, kind of big stuff. Nice gap up right there, but pulled back a lot, held the cloud. Okay, so I would expect some consolidation in that the next couple days. Okay, and then we review some other Dow stocks, and then ultimately we get to the trade of the week. And folks, we've done this one before. It's been a good one in the past, and it's setting up again, and it's Lowe's. And we go through a lot of this stuff, the weekly and the different channels and all that stuff. But I love this Jack in the Box setup right here. We're getting really close to breaking out of this trend line. Okay, here's the first minor pivot, right? If we can close above Thursday's high bullishly with increased volume, I think we can get an earnings run. So we're going to keep an eye on that. I took a look at that. I like earnings are the 20th, and so I like the November 22nd here, the 111s. I know they're $5, right? But they've got a nice delta on it. It's only a 2-point risk, so that's something to look at. Another thing we could look at too, of course, are this week's. And we could look at these right here. So really pumped about that, guys. Really pumped about taking some trades on the Crazy Ivan if the setups are good. I think I really like a lot of the setups that I put also on the long and short list too. So I definitely suggest looking at that. And we'll keep tracking that during the week too. If anything sets up, we'll look to swing it. So I hope you guys find this helpful. And thank you again for everybody's support. I love putting this newsletter together. It gives me a moment to kind of step back and look at everything, and I love being able to share it with you. So thank you again for that. And I hope everybody has a blessed rest of your weekend. And remember your risk first, and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you soon.